I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:32. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first up is to amend the agenda. Does anybody need to amend the agenda? Next is to approve our previous minutes from the April 7th meeting as well as the April 15th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from 4/7 and 4/15.
I second. Is there any discussion? Mary, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Heather?
Aye.
All right, it passed. Are there any public comments for items not on the agenda? Hearing none, we're going to move into the agenda under new business. First up is action item, consider approval of asset capitalization policy.
As we've discussed in the past, Natalia's been codifying and updating some of the policies that we've been following or not following. This one has to do with how we identify what a capital asset is and how we do the accounting for it. It is standard practice, as it says at the top, from the Government Accounting Standards Board, GADSB. So this just reflects what best practices are for handling it. It sets things like, is something an operating expense or a capital asset? Do we amortize it or depreciate it or not? And all those details, price points and stuff like that are outlined in here. So it's another good step forward, and glad to take any questions or just have a motion.
Make a motion to approve the asset capitalization policy.
I second. Is there any discussion? Mary, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Heather?
Aye.
As passed. Next, we have another action item to consider the approval of AFSCME Public Works and Fire Department. Yep, and the Fire Department contract. Sorry, I was looking at DPW.
Oh, yeah. I don't say that, but the union guys do. So as we've been talking about for about 5 months, both our AFSCME contract and our police contract expire on June 30th. We've been working with the AFSCME over the last several months to bring a new contract to the board. The biggest changes are AFSCME had covered our police, our fire, highway department, utilities, and recreation. The union asked if they could do two things. One, split out the fire department under their own contract, which would leave the public works and highway. And they also asked to remove the recreation department. The recreation department didn't pay their dues. They weren't interested in having the representation. So the union was not interested in representing them. So you'll see two contracts here that used to be covered by one. As far as negotiations went, I would consider them pretty smooth. I think their requests were reasonable. The big changes are, it's a 5-year contract, which the last one was 4% COLA increase each year. Their co-pays or the HRA values went from $4,400 for a single and $8,800 for a 2-person to a family to $5,000 and $10,000, which kind of reflects just how the co-pays have increased over time with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And they got 5 weeks vacation after 15 years. That was a level that wasn't in the prior contract. And finally, they got Christmas Eve as a holiday that didn't prior. exist fire. Jeffrey, you have anything to?
I don't think so. I think the only thing, well, I remember the only thing I kind of was struggling with was paying for the training. What was it?
Other certification.
Yeah, there's certifications up front before they complete the course, but we acquiesced and said, okay.
And it's what, and, this is specifically for the fire department.
Yeah.
They have a lot of special certifications that you don't have to have, but in our end of the world, things like, ice rescue, high angle rescue, they do these things. And they wanted the town to pay for all of the training, and we got up to the EMT training, which can run like 15,000. Some costs twice so much. And then they wanted, step increases every time I got a new certification. There already is a different pay for, say, a paramedic versus an advanced EMT. So where we came down is we will only pay for a certification if the chief approves it. So that means you can't just go out and get it and then say, give me money. The chief has to say, yeah, we could use another paramedic. So if you get the training, you're a good employee, we'll cover that. It's different sort of in the fire department that if we need something like a basic EMT just to do a transfer on an ambulance, but that person is out and the only person that's in is a paramedic, we have to pay the paramedic at the paramedic rate. We can't say, oh, you're a basic EMT for this. So it would be detrimental to have too many paramedics. And you can also imagine somebody's got to be in charge, and we have a paramedic on every shift. We don't need to have more than one paramedic on every shift. So we felt that that particular compromise offered an opportunity for people to improve themselves and to make more money, but not an open blank check to go out and get all the trainings they want. They also wanted increases if they got an ice rescue and if they got a ropes rescue and whatever kinds they have. And we said, we'll give, if you have a specialty certification, we will give you one step. Doesn't matter how many you get, but you get one. And that we do like people to be motivated to go out and get the training and keep their certifications for that. So again, that seemed like a good balance. And then just to clarify, the public works contract is 5 years. The fire department's only 2. And my expectation is that there may be some interest in the fire department to see what options they have. Like most fire departments are represented by a specific fire department union. So I think with the turnover that's been in AFSCME, the fire department said, we want to give you a chance to see if you can represent us well. We'll see what happens in 2 years, but they weren't comfortable with going for a longer one, and we're happy with that.
All right, so we would be looking for a motion to approve the contracts for Public Works and Fire Department.
Are we doing them separately? Because one says Public Works and are we doing them together? Because they're listed separate.
However you want, the vote should be either 2 votes or 1 vote that says this and that. It would be a problem if one passed and one didn't.
Right. So they're listed separately. Why don't we just do it separately?
Yeah. So we'll start with looking for a motion to approve the contract for Public Works. Who's DPW?
Department of Public Works.
Okay, so it's the same thing.
Yeah. So I'll make a motion that we approve the AFSCME Public Works and contract. I second.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing none. Mary, how do you vote?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Heather?
Aye.
And then next we'd be looking for a motion for the contract for the fire department.
I'll make a motion to approve the AFSCME Fire Department contract.
I second.
Is there any discussion? Mary?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Heather?
Aye.
And now we'll move into old business with a housing update.
All the houses should officially go on the multiple listing service tomorrow. Chelsea did say yesterday that, she thought she was gonna have a showing of one of the new ones today before it was on the market. So, nothing to report different. The putting the heating systems in now on the new ones seems to be a little more complicated than drop the house and open the door and go in and live in it, but they've been working on it, making progress. So we're going that way.
Did Mike Kamick ever reach out to us?
That was my question. You had said you were going to reach out to Mike Camrick and say, oh, reach out to the board of when we could all go in and see and make arrangements with him directly. But I don't know. He hasn't contacted me. I haven't heard
No.
anything. So did you reach out to
I do want to see the house.
I'll set it up. What I'm expecting is we thought the new ones would be done by now. So you go see all three at the same time and you can go
Okay.
into them. It's just not, since they're not finished, you don't get the full impact, but I'll talk to Mike and Chelsea to get something set up in the next week.
That would be awesome.
Sounds good.
I think that wraps that up. How about we get into the town manager's report? We got quite a few things in there today.
In the electronic files, if we start with the third quarter financial update, I don't know, it's 40, 60 pages. That's what Natalia puts together every month. I asked for a 1-page thing. I have that with me. But two things happen. Because she does all of that, she's getting much more familiar with the inner workings of the finances, and she is very proficient on the detail. So that's good to see. She's also been working more with Melissa down in the fire department on our fire department billing, not just the billing, but also payroll questions, scheduling questions, things like that. We've really made a jump from why are you asking all these questions? What are you going to do to us? To how can we be more helpful? We've seen that it's good for Natalia to understand why it's good for us to have the staffing, and Melissa is seeing more value in getting deeper into the numbers. I'll use that segue just to say, as I think everybody knows, Chief McAllister had a heart attack week last Friday. I was talking to him earlier this afternoon, and he will be back to work on Monday. He's feeling good. He's got rules that he has to follow, and he's got a whole bunch of people downstairs that aren't going to let him get out of line. But it's good to hear. He said he took a 2.5-mile walk today, and just thankful that he had the background that he does. You know, he mentioned to me that many more men die from heart attacks than women, and it's a lot has to do with men are stubborn, and they just want to ignore what was going on, and he didn't, and could have been a lot worse, but he's in pretty good shape. As far as the finances go, we're making our way along. What Natalia and I are focusing on is we currently have about 600,000 in uncollected property taxes, which isn't all that unusual for this time of year. And we have 600,000 in utility bills, which the bills just went out. So that's about quarters, but that's about 1.2 million that's billed and out there. We're getting into the final couple of months of the fiscal year. We won't collect tax money again until September. So it's always a race to the finish line to finish. I always, for those who are familiar with It's a Wonderful Life, when they're getting ready to close the bank and they got $2 left and they're going like this and they say we made it. That's kind of what's going on up here. The good news is we don't have any balance on our tax anticipation note. We have borrowed from some of our other capital reserves to give us cash flow. It looks like probably the second week of June is going to be very tight for us. We have $1 million we have to pay to the school before the end of the fiscal year. And we have to pay, like, even though the taxes aren't collected, like that 600,000, we can't say, well, we'll give you that when we get it. We have to pay the whole thing. So it'll be creative. But the things we've talked about before, that 550,000, it goes back to 2012 from the dam, is there. Deficits from the prior year are are in there as well. So I expect that our next meeting, we should have a pretty good idea on some specific actions we'll need the board to take, maybe to vote to allocate some of our reserve fund to the general fund to address some of those deficits, or borrow money if that's what you want to do, but that'll be coming up. So, but if you wanted to know the details, take a look at that thing that's online. There's a lot of information. The big news, dump day is June 13th. Um, kind of related to that in a way is when we're going through the paving that I expect to start in the next 2 weeks, as long as it gets a little bit warmer anyway, is we will be paving the entrance into Goodyear in and down around to where like the loading docks are in the back. That's kind of a trade-off because we store our sand pile on their property now and we get to use it for dump day, and it's terrible if anybody's been through their big hole. So we'll be doing that as part of our paving. We'll also be doing Depot Avenue that goes back to the Windsor Technology Park, a park and ride on River Street, which is being paid for by a grant. We're grinding and paving Central Street to get us through a few more years. And that should be about it. So we'll have a few extra bucks around town, maybe do some bigger than normal patching. You'll see the quotes for the paving that we did last year and are doing this year are in the packet. And I think one of them says the Rite Aid parking lot. We had a water main break by one of our hydrants behind the Windsor house, left a pretty big hole. So we cut out a big chunk of the parking lot. We didn't own the parking lot. That goes with the Windsor house, but we created the problem. So we cut out a chunk, patched that over instead of just doing, small patch job. So that would be an example. The other one is, unfortunately, we had to do a big hole on Central Street last year with a water main break, and we put a pretty big patch in, but we'll be digging that all up.
This is out of curiosity. I was looking at the paving bids and it showed stuff that happened last year. Why is some of it from last year in British pounds rather than dollars?
Because we're using a British company. They're coming all the way over here.
I'm just saying, it was like,
Natalia thought we were getting
I
a
saw
deal
that too.
because right now a pound's worth less than $1. I don't know that every year it comes in, huh? It used to be like 2 to 1. And
No, I know. I was like, okay.
so anyway, it's just their thing. It means dollars. It's not.
so it's, oh, okay.
It's
I was just really caught my eye, like,
maybe they can use it if they're like close on a bid. They go, oh, yeah, but ours was in pounds.
so really it was the dollar amount.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. EV stations. Norwich Technologies and Green Mountain Power are working together to expand the footprint for charging stations. This station was originally supposed to go over on Depot Avenue. Didn't work out there. Then it was supposed to go on River Street. It didn't work out there. They're running out, and it didn't work out because digging in the ground over there's hassle, and the state has been dragging their feet on telling us how we would have to do it. So we looked for a piece of property that we own where there's not any problems. So that's here.
Yeah.
They are level 3 charging stations, meaning, you can roughly speaking get a charge in 20 minutes, a half an hour. There's 2 of them. And the user pays. So it's not something that's connected to the town's utility bill.
Where would they be located, like in the parking lot here? Like,
Kind of like right out on the far side down by the street.
Makes sense.
because people are gonna come and charge their cars and your parking lot will be busy, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, they'll be where it is least used.
Yeah.
We know when there's basketball tournaments and stuff, and it gets busy. I don't know how much they're gonna get used. There's a couple of them up at Artisans Park, that I'm sure they get used.
Yeah, there's someone near side.
Silo, yeah. So I think it'll be more of people wanting to park there when there's no other spots. And that would be the time somebody who wants to use one shows up.
Yeah.
So,
As always.
and the other part of it is since this was a grant, like no one's taking their, I'm gonna say not nobody, Green Mountain Power has a mission. You know, we need to put more of them out there. But we've never been able to get a grant for one because they said Windsor is too far out the highway and you can get them in Springfield, you can get them in White River. So the chances of somebody getting off at exit 8 or exit 9, driving into Windsor, getting in charge, getting back on, there's better options. My expectation is that's still going to be true for people who are really traveling through, but we will have an opportunity, and I don't really know how it works. If you have a charger at home, like my assumption is that unless you're traveling far, you have a mechanism to charge at home unless you're in an apartment, which certainly could be things.
I don't know either. It's kind of fascinating, but
So they should be there by the end of June. Crosswalk signs. This is another thing that's been talked about for a long time. It's been a long time getting the state to give us the okay. They get very specific, like it's got to go right here, not this general area. So we have a site visit next week to just confirm everything we're telling. The stuff has been delivered. We have the flashing lights and all that kind of stuff. The grants for 17,500. We were expecting it to be about 37,000 to put the whole thing in. The highway crew saw what they had. They said we can put this in ourselves. So the parts themselves are 27,000. So it looks like we'll be responsible for about 10 of the 27,000, and guys will do the work on in their time. And they're going at the library, SD Associates, and where the sidewalk crosses the street up by the Scutney and Cherry Streets. Skate park completion. We got the bond authorization for that. We've contacted the contractor, so we're on his schedule. Hopefully that'll be starting in May sometime. We already have the grills and the picnic table, so we'll be putting those out as soon as the grass allows it. Right now, the dog park down there has been open while the one at the fairgrounds has been closed. We're going to switch that around this week. See if we can get some better grass and stuff growing up that way. So it's getting used. And I've been approached to see if we can put another community garden down on the rail yards park someplace. They use raised beds, kind of like at the Welcome Center, right? They have them out at the fairgrounds too. So they're working with our utilities guys. There's one water line out there kind of by where the blue building is. So we'll see if we can't find a spot and put another one out there. So I think that's it.
Thanks. What about a playground? We talked about playground equipment down there. Did we?
Oh, we've talked about it. We've not done anything to fund it.
Okay, all right.
And that's where the next steps would be just to the south, what we call the Stacy property. We received brownfields cleanup money. So kind of to do what they did on the rest of the park would happen there. Then that whole area will be taken care of. Certainly there's room for pickleball courts, if that's what happens. I don't know. James says the ones that are up at the fairgrounds get a fair amount of use, and they're putting a different surface on them this spring. So anyway, there's opportunity.
Are there still sculptures down there in that area? There used to be right by the. Okay, and that's going to be part of it.
Let me put back. Herb Ferris had two, and we have a old piece of machinery from the American Precision Museum that we'll put out there. And then as part of the park project, Terry had those gates made out of the old rails put on the walking paths.
Okay.
Sarah, question. I wondered too, is there still a committee, and I thought they became a nonprofit for the rail yards down there, who initially started with Terry from Artisan. Are they still together? Are they raising money? Because it was my understanding way back when that started that they were going to be involved and they were going to continue fundraise and do things down there. But I don't ever hear anything about them. I hear just what the town is putting in for money and what we're doing.
they're still around. I don't expect that they're raising any more money. We do have a $25,000 grant that we got through them that we haven't spent yet. But not after that.
Do we have orders to sign tonight?
You do?
All right, so we would be looking for a motion to sign the orders.
I move.
I'll make that motion.
I second.
Is there any discussion? Mary?
Aye.
Aye. Heather?
Aye.
We're gonna sign the orders. Are there any public comments for items not on the agenda? How about board member comments?
You start?
Yeah.
Just want to say I'm really happy to hear that Kevin is on the mend. All our well wishes with you. And I'm not worried about you overdoing it because I believe Tom said all the people you work with will not allow that to happen. So really happy that it turned out the way it did. So take care of yourself and be kind to yourself.
I really don't have anything to add. I agree with Mary. I think that's important.
Don't have anything to say today, for once.
I'm gonna go with what Mary said. Heather, do you have anything?
I don't, not today. Thank you.
I hope you feel better soon.
Thank you.
Okay, orders, this is the signature page for that, asset policy. This is the orders.
Okay.
And then Tara,
Contract.
there's 4 copies of the contract, only you need to sign. Second.
The carrier picture.
A little one. The third one? I was forget how to find the name halfway through the names because I like, wow.
This one.
No, I didn't. Probably started it out right.
That. You're almost signed.
Yeah, maybe hang on a second. I'll add a little something because there was a quizzical question about the rail yards. So when this whole process started, we had the price tag of a little over $1 million, and we got all of the money except what was called a war rep grant, which was about $500,000. So we didn't get that, so that kind of left a big hole. We were able to get some additional grants to do that, but when we didn't get that grant, and we got enough money to do half plus a little more, that's when we had the discussion about bonding it for, like, do you want to leave it, not finish it, or do you want to bond it to finish it? And that's where that came from. So I thought it was a good deal to get what we got, or it'll end up costing the town maybe $250,000, and it'll be about 1.3 million.
I guess I just thought it was going to be an ongoing kind of committee or entity until the project was completely done, and maybe add things as the years went on, kind of like a standing kind of foundation. I don't know what they call themselves, but that's what I thought.
The structure of it was set up to raise money. Honestly, probably like the management going forward is something more in line with the Friends of Rec and the Rec Department, using that as, and I think that the Friends of Rec would be the best vehicle to do recreational additions to it. And I think there's gonna be questions that come to the town on whether or not they want to do anything with the blue building, like
Mhm.
water and sewer in there or heat or.
Were there a 501c though? Did they,
Oh, they did.
they did do that? Okay.
They did all that. They ran the table on what they could get money for. They still have to install trees. That'll be done here in the spring. But, that, I think it's a matter of semantics. Like we wanted to get this up and going, but we talked, well, who's gonna mow it? And as well,
Well,
our committee's not gonna mow it, kind of thing. So.
During this meeting at 7:02.